Hello, everyone. I'm Ron Garrett, your host on the Vegas Pulse. Stories from back of the house. Now, the back of the house is all the people that work that you don't see. That's why they call it the back of the house.
Right.
Or those of us who know what's going on in the back of the house. And one of the primary guys who can help us with some of that is my good friend. They call him the Don of Vinyl. He has got the largest vinyl collection of 45s.
45s albums, yeah.
Albums in the world. And that's why they
pretty
call him
close,
the
yeah.
Don of Vinyl. He's the CEO of Street Corner Records and Entertainment. He's been around a while. We all love him. He's Stevie Dunham.
Thank you, Ron. Thank you for having me on the show. I really appreciate it.
Stevie, you're a great story, my friend.
Well, that's what they say. I mean, I've been around. I mean, I've seen and done a lot of stuff. It's stuff that I was privileged to see that I probably shouldn't have seen outside
You
of
can't
the
tell us
entertainment.
about any of that, the
I
things
can
you
tell a
shouldn't have
few-
seen, you know?
I can say a few things I can, but I got to keep some certain names on the down low.
Well, you got to wait for them to die.
Well, a lot of them I still do. Yes, yes. I was a part of that fraternity. I'll admit
Everybody
that.
says, Ron, write a book. I said, not yet.
Yeah, that's the same with me. I can't just write a book and name names. I have to wait for those people to go.
You do.
Unfortunately.
So you're
Otherwise I'll
from
get
Brooklyn.
killed.
You're from the
Yes,
streets of Brooklyn.
I am from Brooklyn, New York.
And when
originally.
you were a young kid growing up, you got into the doo-wop sound.
It was around 1977. My two cousins and two neighborhood kids. We lived in Brooklyn Heights on Pacific Street. We were listening to Norman Knight's WCBS oldie show on Sundays, listening to all these great group records growing up, and our parents and everybody. But everybody tuned into CBS FM on Sundays in New York. And so we decided we'd just go out one day and try it out and sing some harmony. It seemed to gel, and we got a little bit better as time moved along. We got actually pretty good. We never made a record or nothing, but we got really good. And it was, even in that late of era in the late 70s, it was still prevalent to go into inner city boroughs and see people sing on street corners still.
And they really had the oil
Yes, they
barrels
did.
with the flame coming
Yeah,
out.
yes,
Now,
they
we
did.
see that in movies.
That's actually true.
But is that true?
That is an absolutely true fact. Yes. Or
What was in the barrel? Would you burn wood or
burn
kerosene?
wood, garbage, newspapers, you name it, and we had a brown bag with a bottle in it.
Or
Passing around.
the policy slips might have gone into that.
Yeah,
barrel.
right, exactly, right, yeah.
Were you guys running numbers back in those days?
When I was 11 years old, so
Well,
no.
listen,
But I
there's
know
a lot-
guys that did. My
Absolutely.
cousins were involved in a gang, and they were doing errands for
You're running
the Cosa
numbers.
Nostra guys.
which is Keno.
Yeah, basically, yeah.
Keno.
Yeah, we, basically that particular counterculture, which I parallel to it. I mean, we created a lot of that stuff, So I mean, that's prevalent in Las Vegas casinos today. Keno is
It is.
basically
It's amazing,
policy. It is, and so it's we came out here a lot of times when I was growing up as a kid, and I
You
seen
came. You started visiting Las Vegas
about
in the
8, 9 years,
70s.
yeah, 8, 9 years old, I guess would be good.
In the 70s. You were born in
Yeah.
1968.
Yeah, I saw
Same
a lot
son,
of
same
things.
age as my son. He was also born.
We always stayed at the
in
dunes
1968.
and never had a bill.
Why did you pick the Dunes?
My grandfather, one of his dear friends, was a very known character here.
Had anything to do with Maury Schenker and his crowd over there?
I think Jasper
and the,
knew him, but
Jasper?
yeah, I think he knew.
We
him
all know
pretty
who
good.
Jasper was.
Of course, the man with the you can get a loan in a flower shop with this guy over here, and a pizza joint guy.
Pizza in the flower shop.
You're right,
But
the flower
he
shop. That was the
go-to guy.
hilarious thing. Yeah, I've been to both growing up, so I know.
Where'd he get the roses?
Right, exactly, right.
Jasper was the go-to guy.
He was a sweetheart of a man, a very low key guy, smart and just and very classy. And he ran a great business. Both of his businesses were very popular in the valley back in the old days.
The
And it was-
70s was a great era.
It
here,
was.
and you were still a young man because you were born in '68.
I mean, if things would have changed the climate, we could have
So
actually
when
lived
you
here.
came here as a kid, and you looked around,
It was the greatest thing. It was like anything. It was like Disneyland. All the neon lights, all the glitter, the glamour, and then go to see shows. It was like living a dream. You couldn't believe it, and being that young of a kid to absorb all of that and meet people that that you see on TV every Sunday night, that you see
right.
for real,
For real.
And meet them too. I mean, that was amazing to me.
Here was my introduction to Vegas. I was 13 years old. It was 1956.
Wow.
And my mother, my father, my brother, and I, we took a car trip from Great Neck, Long Island, where I was raised,
It's a long trip.
all the way across the country. We even stopped at the biggest ball of yarn
Oh yeah,
that
I
you
remember
see in
that.
the Chevy Chase movie.
Right, yeah.
There is such a thing, the world's
There is.
biggest ball of yarn. Oh my God! And also motels shaped like dinosaurs and
Right.
teepee tents.
Exactly, yeah.
But we
Yep.
drove out to Las Vegas, actually all the way to Cali. I went to Disneyland the second year it was open in
Yeah.
'56. It opened in '55. Anyway, we came to Vegas. We're going to come to Vegas. I'm 13 years old. We stayed at the Dunes where you stayed, but the tower had not been built yet.
Right, yeah.
And we sat around the pool and a two-story. It was like a motel then.
Right. Most of the hotels in Old Vegas back in the 50s, they were just one level.
One level.
places. And
So we went to a show at the El Rancho Vegas.
oh, great.
It hadn't burnt down yet.
Right, yeah.
The stars of the show were Betty Grable and Harry James
Wow.
in the
great
showroom.
stuff.
I'm 13 years old.
That must have been
But
amazing.
all I could see was showgirls.
Absolutely.
All I
get
could
it.
see was everywhere I looked, there's showgirls. So we leave, get in the car, and I told my mother, I said, I'm moving to Las Vegas. I'm 13.
What'd she say to that?
You're not moving to Las Vegas.
Yeah, that's pretty much
I
what I
did.
got to later in life. Yeah,
I did.
get
That
it.
was 1956. I moved here in 1971. And I
came
haven't
here-
left.
No, I've been here since living here since 1993. I caught the tail end of a great
When
thing.
you got here in 93,
yeah.
how'd you set yourself up? What were you doing and what got you started?
Well, I just finished college and I just finished another problem in New York.
What college did you go
I
to?
went to Art Institute in Fort Lauderdale. I actually flew a shuttle plane from Fort Lauderdale up into New York and did studio work back and forth 2 or 3 days a week. And with the school in and around that, I made it sure it was in and around my classes, which is very difficult. But I was a very hardworking and determined young man, and I still am today. But it was just amazing. I got it hooked up with some people in that I back in the old
Did
school.
you get in a
type
little
things.
trouble?
I got in a lot of trouble.
Well, we're going to find out about
Yeah.
that right after we come back. We're going to break for commercial. We'll be right back with more of Stevie Dunham. What a great story. We'll be right back. And we're back on Vegas Pulse, stories from the back of the house. And with us is Stevie Dunham, the CEO of Street Corner Records and Entertainment, and many other things. Now, we were talking,
Yes.
and you said you had a little trouble. Is it all right to talk about that? Or
It was 34, almost 35 years ago. So, I mean,
has it
yeah,
been
it's
taken
okay.
off the
I mean,
blotter?
some of the guys are still locked up, but I won't mention any names. I got into a major problem
Yeah.
in New York City. I didn't know I was being watched, and I got pinched in front of my building on Pacific Street.
What was the charge?
It was a RICO Act. I got 7 indictments and
Oh.
charges out of 35.
Conspiring with other criminals.
Oh, you name it. I mean, I got popped for 7 big ones, and
Did you do time?
no, but I was looking at 40 years at time. My attorney, which was a very well-known mob attorney, his name was Shargo, and
Uh-huh.
he says to me this. He goes, "This is flimsy. You got no case. This is all because of an informant, a rat.
Somebody ratted you
They
out.
ratted out 62 guys." Now I'm in the Irish consortium, not the Italian La Cosa
But
Nostra.
you're Irish and Italian.
Yes, and I was accepted into the Irish clan. So, and they don't care if both parents are one or the other, as long as the father is Irish. So this case lasted about 2.5 months, and they got nothing. I was acquitted in all charges, and they sealed up my records. And then I ended up with an IRS case for tax evasion, which the government still wanted their
Sure,
money.
they wanted
their
the
zork.
scarol.
Yeah. So I didn't beat that one, but I paid almost $1 million in restitution or go to jail for 10 years.
You got to work real hard to pay that.
I had the money, and
You did.
what we did, my partner and I, we had taking on a young Wall Street guy our age, and we shylocked him, and he would borrow from us, and then he put the money in the market, and he was an inside trader, and we put our money with him, and we basically told him, he said, "You screw us out of our money, you're going to be on a milk carton." It was just that simple.
That was that
And
simple.
He made us a lot of money, and that saved us from. We paid our fees and our fines, and then of course our people thought we skimmed, and then we're going to end up getting killed anyway.
Yeah.
So we got the hell out of Dodge. I actually had to take a hiatus from school to go through these cases, and when I went back to South Florida, even though I was chancy, I went back to school.
So you lived in Florida for a while.
Yeah, I was determined to graduate. I didn't care what was thrown at me. So I got my degree. It was only a couple of months away anyway from graduating with a music business degree. So I got it, and then we got the hell out of Dodge, and we moved to Vegas. My partner ended up in Los Angeles. I stayed here.
So you came to Vegas in '93.
Yeah.
You're already a well-known doo-wop singer.
I was one of the youngest producers of this music in the United States
but you
when I
also
started.
sang on all that.
I did. I sang and produced records with them without credit, and sang on many stage shows. And I worked with a lot of legends: Johnny Maestro of the Brooklyn Bridge and the Crest, Larry Chance of the Earls, Harvey Fuqua of the Moonglows, Pookie Hudson of the Spaniels, Jive 5, Eugene Pitt, which is my mentor. And there's about 60 plus guys I backed up or shared the stages with easily enough in groups.
Part of the Chaperones?
I was a member of the Chaperones. I helped reform the Chaperones with an original founding member, Nick Salvato, and we put out a CD, and it sold very well, and it helped keep the trademark active with the group. And we were inducted into the Las Vegas Entertainers Hall of Fame in 2011.
There you go. Yeah,
That's
I'm
my
a member
first
of that
one.
one too, by the way.
I'm in it 2 times. I'm in it with
Yeah.
the Night Kings too, another local Las Vegas group. It's just a thrill. I'm not an illegitimate person, just so you know. I mean, I lived a life like that, and I learned a very hard
What
lesson. very
business
young.
did you open when you arrived here?
I started Street Corner Entertainment Records in 2004.
Okay,
but
right here in Las Vegas.
But I worked
so
in the logistics
20
business.
years old right
yeah,
now, the company.
Yeah, it's going to be 25 next month, actually. I worked in the logistics and trucking business as my civilian job. So I worked that for 24 years, and I worked in clubs and bands at night.
You were busy.
I was always working. I never was not working. And I worked in a lot of different hotels. I worked in almost all the old hotels, every hotel except for the brand new ones that are existing today. I worked in them all, downtown and on the Strip.
In 1990s, when you came here, that's when the Strip began to evolve into a corporate, I call it nightmare.
It did. It was a corporate nightmare.
It became that. It started with the Mirage.
Yes. It
with
did.
Steve Wynn, but he at first banned fanny packs and strollers.
Yes, I remember that.
But then he gave in later.
Yeah, he did. I mean, they turned it in. They wanted to turn it into like a Disneyland
Yeah.
for kids and adults, not just for adults. It was more oriented towards adults historically. The corporatization of Las Vegas, it took a lot of the personal touch of service out from the workers to the
Big
patronage.
time.
And you remember this, I mean, coming here and living here back then, they would know your name 5 years if you've never been in a joint. They know your first, last name, your mother, your
Everything.
wife, everybody.
Favorite drink, your best favorite meal.
Absolutely. And they would comp you, even if you needed it or not. If you were down and out, you blew all your money. They would give you money
You
to
didn't
get
have
home.
to play the slots. You didn't need a
No.
player's card.
No.
You didn't have to. They did it because everybody was a VIP.
Yes, and they did that purposely. And these are the old school guys, the guys that built Vegas in particular before the corporations took over. And it was still leaked over a little bit in the beginning in the early 90s, and then it started to just slowly evolve out. I mean, it just dissipated.
In 1993, when you came, I was the marketing director for Circus Circus.
Okay, well, there were still aspects there.
But we were owned by one man. His name was William G. Bennett,
Right,
who
exactly.
doesn't nearly get the kind of recognition
No, he doesn't.
he should
Everybody
have.
else does.
He built Circus Circus. He built the Excalibur. He
Right.
built the Pyramid. He built the Luxor, and he also built Mandalay Bay. And they don't give him anything for that.
They don't give him any
Down in
credit at all.
Laughlin, I was with them. They owned the Colorado Bell
Great
and the
place.
Edgewater.
Yeah, another great casino.
Well, he was hands-on. The
Yeah,
difference
that's what I
was
heard.
that his office was 5 steps from my office, and he's the big shot. He's the man. And if I wanted something done, I go ask him.
Right,
No red
exactly.
tape,
Yeah, he didn't have to go through an
no
emissary or
reports.
nothing. Yeah, he didn't have to cut through all that
But
BS.
this is the way we did it.
Yeah.
Again, back of the house.
Right.
Mr. Bennett would literally go into the kitchen and squeeze the lettuce. Now, man, this guy's worth $850 million.
Right, I get it. Yeah.
Squeeze the lettuce to make sure it was fresh.
Well, that's a good boss.
That's a good boss. One
Yeah.
time we were in the restaurant called the Pink Pony,
Oh, yeah.
which I always objected to that name, but he told me to shut my mouth. Him and I were close. He always said, Tom? He called me Tom because the guy before me was Tom, and he couldn't make the change. Tom became the marketing guy of the Luxor.
Oh, wow.
So he says, we're
man.
sitting having lunch. The waiter brings the hamburger with the fries. He looks at the fries and he says, take this back and cut them in half. They were too long.
Wow.
So what Mr. Bennett he comes back. It's almost like the casino story with the blueberry muffins.
Right, exactly.
He
Yeah.
brings it back and the fries are cut in half. And he turns to me and he says, do you know what I just did? I said, you cut the fries in half. He's, yeah, but does it look like more? I said, absolutely it does.
Yes.
So it was piled higher. It looked like more, same amount of fries.
That's great. I remember all the great things like the 99-cent hot dogs and
Absolutely.
the shrimp cocktails. And, they give you rolling nickels of quarters, there's incentives, gifts, jackets if you hit royal flushes.
Everything.
All the great stuff that you can imagine that really enticed people to come here because they always thought, well, if I get a royal, I'm going to get a satin jacket with the casino name on it. When, the last hotel to do this, if I recollect, was the Orleans that did that.
There's one more hotel that's just like the old days. I'm going to come back and tell you about it.
Okay.
But
yeah.
right now we got to take another break.
Cool. All right.
We'll be right back. More with Stevie Dunham, the Don of Vinyl and the CEO of Street Corner Records and Entertainment. But we're going to talk about his current business and the stars that he's making right here in Las Vegas, some of your favorite lounge acts. We'll be right back. And we're back on Vegas Pulse, stories from back of the house. And I've got the premier back of the house guy right here, Stevie Dunham.
How you
Stevie,
doing,
thank
man?
you so much
Oh,
again
thank
for
you.
being here.
Oh, it's awesome. This is a lot of fun. It's great to talk about these things because a lot of people don't realize what really goes on
No,
behind
they
the
didn't.
scenes here. I mean, and there's a history of all of that. There's always a silent group of individuals in every aspect of business that actually has their fingers on the pulse in Las Vegas, Nevada. It's not all about casinos and gambling and so forth. There's guys that do things behind the scenes that are influential in whatever level of business they're in that make things happen here. They're movers and shakers, and people don't realize that. And it's very important to know that. You're not going to ever see them hardly. I mean, I'm just lucky to be here like you are because we've been through all of this.
Got lucky.
But
I had no idea what kind of life I'd have.
Yeah, I mean, I love Las Vegas. I mean, I can't see myself living in any other city. And I've been to several
No, me
in my
neither.
life,
I did 9 years in Reno, which is almost like 9 years in Alcatraz. Reno ain't nothing like Las Vegas.
No, not at all. Everybody
no.
thinks that, but it's not the same
When I
thing.
first moved there, I was that a-hole from Vegas, but they accepted me. 2 years later, I was that a-hole from Reno.
Right,
So
yeah,
I got
get it,
accepted,
yeah. I totally understand. I ran a nightclub downtown on Fremont Street.
What was the name of it?
It was actually the old Cosmos joint. It was-
Cosmos.
But we
Cosmos
changed-
Cellar.
But yes, and we changed it to the USA Underground. I booked every punk rock and alternative band in from 1994 to 95 in that joint. I had a line that went from that door right around the corner onto Main Street with about 400 kids, college kids, waiting to get in to that 200 capacity place all night, Thursday, Friday,
Oh,
and
no,
Saturday
we went
night.
to Cosmos Underground.
Oh,
many
I've been
times.
there before then too. I
Yeah.
mean, I know, but
It
no, but
became your club.
yes, and
Oh,
we was
that's
a cash
fantastic.
cow and we put all the punk rock bands in there. We had monopolized in the whole city, and it was great. And I should be in the punk rock museum, which I may have to go see them and tell them I'm still
Take
here in
another
Vegas.
quick break right
Sure.
now and come back and bring us up to date on some of the current talent
You got it.
and things you're doing now with your record company here in Las Vegas. We'll be right back with more of Stevie Dunham right after this. And we're back with the Don of Vinyl. I keep saying that because he really is, and he's got the best vinyl collection, the biggest
One of them,
vinyl,
yeah, for
one
sure.
of them in the world.
Yes.
Stevie Dunham, currently you're recording a lot of people here in town
Yes.
who are working the great clubs like the Composer's Room
Right, exactly.
and a few other places. Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, I have 5 local acts on my label, and Dana Day, I just produced her CD. We're going to have it going to the plant here in another few days for her first CD for in a long time. Zonia De La Guardia is another client of mine. She's an up-and-comer. She's actually moved up quite a bit, and I guess because of my influence on both of these two young ladies, it's really made a notice in the city of Vegas. They're starting to get more action, and that's great. I have legendary Vic Donna from 1957's hit Teenage Rose on my label. He's got a CD coming out of contemporary stuff. An up-and-comer, Kelly D. Thomas, is coming onto my label, and I have Matt Dorman's band coming on my label, which is a country artist.
Tell us a little bit about Little Anthony.
And Little Anthony, he's a guy that I've had for 2.5 years. He's the Rock and Roll Hall of Famer, Little Anthony from the Imperials, and we are also Grammy nominated because of him for New York State of Mind. And I have every project for him until he decides to retire.
I want to tell you, I listened to New York State of Mind by Little Anthony and compared it to Billy Joel.
What did you think?
I thought his was better, Little Anthony.
Really? You think? I think so.
Much better.
I think he nailed it. The emotion's
nailed it
better.
because he has more of a teary voice.
Yes.
You know, and I thought it was much better. And the music was good, too.
Anthony picked that because Billy Joel pays him tribute in every concert that Billy does. And so Anthony wanted to pay him back and do that.
Mm-hmm.
And he did.
That hit the charts. It nominated for a Grammy.
Yeah, I'm the only oldies label in rock and roll and pop culture history with a Grammy nomination.
What do you see the future of oldies? I mean, that's a funny way to say it.
I'm one of the controlling factors of this genre. So I see things change. Everything reciprocates itself over time, like history repeating itself. It's in a little downturn, but I see things coming. There's a lot of young kids out there that like this stuff, and we don't do just.
I love doo-wop music.
Me too.
I love going back to the songs with all the ones that you talk about when you're on my radio show.
Right, thank you.
We discuss it. The Crest, the Flamingos, the
great groups,
great groups, and you've had your own groups as well,
right? Yes.
And you still record.
I do my own stuff. I'm my own vocal group. I do all the vocal parts sometimes.
You know, it's great having you here as a guest.
Well, thanks, Ron. It's great having
and we could talk for another hour.
Oh, of course, I'm sure we could.
And I think I'm going to invite you back because I want to pick
great.
up.
I'd love to. I definitely would do that.
Where we left off. Appreciate coming over to Hey Vegas TV.
Thank you.
Studios, right here on Annie Oakley. And we have a full facility here for everybody to come and make TV shows if
it's a great place, folks. Great place.
And maybe we should think about the Stevie Dunham show.
Well, that's not something out of the picture. I think that might be considerable.
We'll see what happens. Yeah. Thank you all for watching Vegas Pulse, stories from back of the house. You can't get a guy like this every week, so I got to bring him back for another show. Thank you, Stevie.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody, for watching. We'll see you next week.